Not a bad way to enter the garage. So today I've got a few parts that showed up, mostly for the Mercedes, but also for the red M3. So on this today, I'm going to be finally installing those two shift linkage bushings so I can actually try to test drive the car with the transmission that's been hobbled together with parts from many. And then the fuel pump relay that died on the red M3 showed up as well, this EKP module. So I'm going to install that as well, but first things first, these shift bushings. I'll show you in just a minute where these things actually end up going, but they're both completely missing on my car. The one on the transmission and the one on the shift linkage. This specialty tool is for these bushings, and basically they sit inside. Sorry, it's hard to film at the same time. They sit inside the pin, and then you put the actual open face of the transmission or the shifter against this, and then you press and twist, and then they slop right in. This tool was, I think, $30. You can get a set with bushings for $60, or you can just buy this for $30 and get bushings for a couple bucks a piece. And then I also have a new map sensor. The one that's in the car is an eBay 1-bar. I'm kind of surprised it lasted as long as it did because it was very, very cheap. This one is aftermarket, but it's not, eBay aftermarket, but it's also a 3-bar. So there's really no reason why you should do a 3-bar sensor on a normally aspirated car. It's just, I've been tuning with these on my turbo cars, and I'm aware that they work really well even under NA conditions. So they plug in pretty much the same. I'm going to install this. I have to configure it with Megasquirt, but again, I'll kind of show you how that's done too, if you care. But first things first, get the car up in the air, show you where those bushings go, and then show you how to install them. So this is going to be a bundle of fun as I'm learning. You can see the upper open hole there. That's where I have to put one bushing in the transmission selector. And then back here, this one won't be too bad. That open hole goes to the actual shifter. I have to put bushings in both of those. And the trick to that is you want to put a little bit of lubricant. I'm probably just going to put some ATF on it because I have, or whatever's sitting on the ground there. I'll wipe it on the bushing, set the lubed face against the opening, and then press it in and wiggle it with the bushing tool, and it should slide right in. So although I have the bushing installed now, basically once you've got it setting against the shifter arm, clamp it down. You're gonna have to use a lot of force because these are solid nylon bushings, and then work it back and forth as well. That'll kind of help it seat. I went at a diagonal angle. Once you get one of the facets through, it actually cooperates pretty well. So there you have it. One new bushing installed. This job is basically impossible without this tool, so I would not recommend you try to take it on without this. Also, it's pretty difficult to do it in the car typically. So, something to bear in mind. The front one took quite a bit longer given the angle and the space, but I was able to do it in the car. So, those are both done now. That's my non-OEM shift linkage. Pardon the out of focus nature. Okay, anyway. This is just a steel rod with an 11mm nut on either side. It works pretty well, but I have to thread it back in the car now and then make sure everything works. So there you have it. Shift linkage. All the way installed. Time to go top side, make sure it runs through the gears correctly and it doesn't need to be kind of reconfigured a little bit now that there's no slop in the linkage. And then I'll grab the map sensor as well and we'll start swapping that out. So, onto the dash here. There's our old map sensor, and there's our new one. As you can tell, they look pretty much identical. So I'm just going to plug it in, change out the vacuum line over to this one, and then I'll show you in Tuner Studio what you do to reconfigure. And over the course of about 15 seconds, there's the 1-bar, there's the 3-bar. Make sure that you got a good connection on both your vacuum and your electronics. I have neither, so I'm going to keep pressing on these a little bit more, but once that's firmly installed, I'll open up Megasquirt and see what's what. I have to show you guys the shifter. so it's never felt that good before. You guys are wondering how I know what gear I'm in. I mean, you just have to kind of keep track, but I do have a custom aluminum plate under here that you can watch in some of the older videos. So if I hold it to the left, first notch, reverse, come down one more, neutral, there's drive. Drive's hard over. And then you can't go into neutral or third from drive, how I cut it. Then you have 3, 2, and then again, this car, I have the old dome light switch hooked up to the first gear start solenoid. So if you want to do massive burnouts, you hit that switch. So there's that. Back over into Tuner Studio land now, which is the best Megasquirt software, for the record. Not paid to say it, but it is. So you're gonna get, yep, see it shows a negative 11.6 PSI. So we're gonna go up to Calibrate Map Barrel. And I have this set on custom right now, but just click on GM3 bar and then change this over to GM3 bar. Burn. Close. Oh boy. Negative 14.3 PSI. That's not normal. Well, let me power cycle the ignition. I might have a wiring issue. It might not be the map sensor. Okay. Well, let me see if they sent me the wrong sensor. Nope. Yeah, guys, I think I have a wiring issue. Darn. I don't know. I'll have to do some more investigation on that one. That sensor requires a ground, a 12-volt signal, and then it's got an output to the computer. So I'll have to check that with my multimeter right now, see what I've got, what I don't, and then kind of try to track down the issue. Well, there we are. I took my multimeter to it. I had a perfect, I guess it's a 5-volt signal. I had perfect 5 volts. I had perfect sensor ground. I had good continuity between the map output and the Megasquirt. And then I pulled the plug off and I saw that the 5-volt pin had backed its way out. So I pushed that back in. Lo and behold, perfect manifold air pressure reading. Guess we'll see if she starts. Indeed she does. Sweet. Good. I think it's time to take it for a drive. Before I take it for a drive, I had to I don't know, my curiosity got the better of me. I'm gonna weigh the car. I just found where my vehicle scales were hiding, so okay, the lift is freed. There we are. She weighs 3,043 pounds, and that's with about a quarter tank of fuel, full fluids. Obviously not me in it, but oops. That's pretty lightweight. You can see why this thing with 300 plus horsepower and foot-pounds of torque really boogies. Well, moment of truth. Oh, I'm dumb. Help if I turn the ECU on. She goes into reverse like an absolute champ. garage door real quick and we'll go for a drive. Well, everything's looking good. We're inching forward. I have her in first gear right now. Engaged really nicely. No odd behavior. Looks like I have to go to the gas station though. A little low on gas. Shifting now, that's good. I'm seeing on my computer I've got negative 1% throttle position, which is not good. So good, I suppose, other than having no throttle position signal whatsoever, which is making the engine run dangerously lean. Still some problems to sort out, but I want to get the car up to temperature. I want to get some gas in it. Let's see what we can see. So far, the transmission is feeling really, really good, so that's a huge plus. As long as it's not leaking and it will do burnouts, I think we're in good shape. This is like my favorite part of the car. Took it on a 20-mile trip, seemed to perform okay. It definitely needs some transmission throttle linkage adjustment. That's this one right here. It doesn't kick down properly, and I think the vacuum might need some adjusting as well, because when it does upshift, it kind of does it lazily, and when it downshifts, it does it pretty aggressively. So, other than that, it stayed cool and collective. Everything worked fine. I do have to look at the throttle position sensor again. That's not giving me any sort of reading when the car's running, which is kind of strange. But at this point, if the car stops leaking and we could actually enjoy it a little bit, I may elect to completely redo some of the sensor harness on this car just to try to make it a little bit prettier. But it survived. So far, no leaks. We'll see. Knock on wood. Trans cooler's nice and warm. I guess that's a good sign. Yeah, I don't know. It's exciting that this thing may actually be a reliable vehicle. I haven't actually hooked up the idle control yet, but I do have the valve in place, and I think it's open just a little bit. Honestly, it's almost the perfect amount for a nice idle when it's in drive and reverse, and a little bit of a high idle when it's in neutral, but not bad. So, again, that's probably all for this car for today, but I'm excited and optimistic that it's behaving fairly well. So we will see. Next up, after I put the tool away, I'm gonna go downstairs and we'll go through this in the M3, make sure that was the problem. And yeah, I still have to put this muffler on the red M3 at some point, but I don't think that's a project for today, considering my schedule is a little bit hectic. So I'll pick this up again in a minute downstairs, and we'll chuck this in the car and see if it runs. Ah, my two brilliant red babies. Poor 850 has an appointment to get its paintless dent. I don't know if you can see this, couple little dings in the trunk there. Couple on the hood, couple on the hood. This thing got lightly hailed on last fall, and I've been too embarrassed to drive it. So it's just been sitting here. I took it to work once this year, but that's the only time it's been out. And I kind of feel bad because it's a great car. This one I've actually been driving quite a bit more now. But I had the fuel pump relay stop working in a friend of mine's driveway. So I borrowed some wire from him and I just jumpered it. This is my socket right here for now. That'll change to the glove box when I get the Z3M harness, which is back behind the unicorn over there, in place. But for now, these have to deal with a little bit more heat than they're used to. So yeah, it's a 7-pin relay. Got to align it. It looks like flat, flat, straight. So installed. That was pretty difficult. Now, see if she fires right up. Save that wire in there just in case. She should just fire right up at this point. I might have other issues. I don't hear the fuel pump cycle. Huh. I don't know what the issue is, actually. Well then, I guess I'll be using that wire another day and trying to figure out what's going on. There is a wire that runs between the engine computer and that relay, which has a pulsed signal, and I'm wondering if we've got an issue with that particular wire, or what's going on. I didn't build this adapter harness like I did for the black car. I bought this one, but it was for an E36. So it's not absolutely perfect fitment wise. I'll probably redo all that when I get the Z3M engine harness in here, but shoot, I was hoping that would just be a plug and play, quick, nice solution. Oh, shoot. Maybe I'll bring the wagon down here, leave it, and then take the 850 home. I feel so bad that this car is not getting driven. Considering it's been well over a month since I last started this car.